On October 19th, Hunter Mark Strittmater, 44, went hunting alone in Medicine Bow National Forest and mysteriously vanished. A year later, on October 23rd, 2020, a tourist exploring the area where Mark had disappeared stumbled upon his binoculars and loaded shotgun. Nearby, an unfired bullet was discovered in the Tang Pavilion. Another year passed before Hunter, Chris, and his nephew came to the Crow Mountains near the park's border for a hunting trip. There, they accidentally discovered Mark's backpack. Following this lead, search and rescue teams found his folding knife about 300 feet from the scene, along with various items like hats and gear. A human mandible was also recovered. Forensic analysis confirmed the mandible belonged to Mark Strittmater, the hunter who had disappeared 3 years earlier. Evidence showed he had suffered a severe blow before his death. Even more baffling, his remains appeared to have been transported dozens of kilometers away to Mount Luke. On the morning of October 19, 2019, at approximately 5:30 a.m., Mark was last seen driving a white pickup truck to Medicine Bow National Forest. Surveillance footage from a convenience store captured him at 5:46 a.m., wearing a light camouflage shirt, gray trousers, a large hat, and an orange wool cover. October is a popular time for hunting and for people to go missing. But Mark didn't plan to get lost. He had a specific goal: to hunt a Sasquatch. Medicine Bow National Forest spans over 2 million acres, covering regions of Wyoming and Colorado. The climate in the park is highly unpredictable, with significant temperature differences between morning and evening. The tallest mountains rise above 12,000 feet, approximately 3,600 meters above sea level. The Cat's Forest is not only rich in wildlife, but is also steeped in legend, particularly the enduring tales of the Sasquatch. Sightings of the mysterious creature have been reported continuously since the 1970s. Over the years, many park rangers have heard stories, and some even claim to have seen the creature themselves. Mark planned to hunt in an area known as Changi Campground, located deep within the heart of the park. He was well equipped, carrying a high-caliber rifle, a folding knife, binoculars, and a backpack filled with essential survival gear. It's clear that Mark had prepared thoroughly for this expedition. Mark lived with his girlfriend of 13 years, Carrie, who often accompanied him on hunting trips. Around 11 a.m. that day, Mark tried to call her, but she didn't pick up. He then sent her a text message claiming he had nearly killed a Bigfoot. Carrie, however, struggled to make sense of Mark's increasingly paranoid and eccentric behavior. She believed creatures like Bigfoot were nothing more than myths from folklore. That day, the weather forecast had warned of an approaching blizzard. Concerned for his safety, Carrie called Mark back and urged him not to continue hunting in such dangerous conditions. There was a moment of silence on the line, then Mark abruptly hung up. Kelly tried calling Mark again, but was never able to reach him. On October 20th, Kelly returned home and realized that Mark had not come back as expected. Concerned, she went to the police station to check if there had been any reports of an accident involving Mark. Unfortunately, she was the first person to report Mark missing. Local police began investigating Mark Strittmater's disappearance at approximately 3:44 p.m. that day. Instead of going home right away, Kelly drove alone to Changi Campground, the area where Mark had planned to hunt. There, she found Mark's white pickup truck parked at the junction of forest highways 801 and 803. By the time Kelly discovered the vehicle, it was already covered in a thick layer of snow. Inside, she found Mark's cell phone, wallet, cigarettes, and other personal items. The keys were located in the vehicle's mailbox, a habit Mark was known for. The only items missing were his shotgun and backpack. Kelly attempted to start the vehicle and found it to be in good working condition, with no signs of damage or malfunction. The presence of the cell phone inside the truck suggested that Mark had briefly returned to the vehicle before heading back into the forest. Following Mark's disappearance, authorities quickly launched an investigation. However, the heavy snow blanketing the mountains made search and rescue efforts extremely difficult. Despite deploying multiple search teams, the initial efforts yielded no results. It wasn't until a year later that a significant clue finally emerged. On October 23rd, 2020, a mountain climber discovered a pair of binoculars and a shotgun in the area where Mark had gone missing, about 600 meters from his vehicle. The tourist who found them informed the police about the condition of the shotgun. When recovered, the shotgun was loaded and an unfired bullet was also found nearby. According to authorities, the weapon had been fired at least once, but the final bullet remained unused. Mark's girlfriend, Kelly, confirmed that the items were indeed the same ones Mark had taken with him on the day he disappeared. Based on this discovery, police concluded that Mark had likely died. A few days later, a team of 12 civilian volunteers organized a search in the area in hopes of finding more clues or possibly Mark's remains, but came up empty-handed. It wasn't until a year later that the case finally saw a significant development. On October 16, 2022, the local police received a call from a hunter who claimed to have discovered Mark Strittmater's remains in Rock Mountain, a location nearly 17 miles from where Mark's vehicle had originally been found. According to the report, a hunter named Chris and his nephew were hunting in the Rock Mountain area when the nephew spotted a backpack on the ground. Inside were clothing and boots. Upon examining the contents, Chris found Mark Strittmater's hunting license. Police later arrived and discovered additional belongings nearby, including a human mandible, several broken ribs, and other personal items such as receipts and a folding knife. These were found within a 300-foot radius of the site. Mark's clothes were also located, but had been completely torn apart. After forensic examination, it was confirmed that the bones belonged to Mark Strick. His remains showed signs of significant trauma, but the exact cause of death could not be determined. There was no clear evidence of foul play, although investigators couldn't rule out the possibility that he had been attacked and killed by a wild animal. However, it remained unclear what kind of creature could have inflicted such extensive damage. The police later reached out to Mark's girlfriend, Kelly, hoping she might provide new and valuable information. Kelly told them that Mark had once sent her a text message claiming he had nearly captured a Bigfoot. However, since she didn't believe in such creatures, she hadn't taken the message seriously at the time. She also recalled asking Mark why he would go hunting in snowy conditions. Mark explained that Bigfoot was typically extremely cautious and avoided human contact during normal weather, but would let its guard down during snowfall, making it the best time to track it. When asked about Mark's motivation for hunting Bigfoot, Kelly revealed that Mark believed she had been stalked and harassed by the creature. He claimed that while hunting, a large, heavily built beast had followed him down the mountain, even throwing stones at him. Mark had managed to record part of the encounter on his phone. Despite being armed with a powerful weapon, Kelly said Mark had been overwhelmed by fear during the experience. At some point, he became convinced that he had been attacked, or nearly attacked, by a juvenile Bigfoot. For Mark, hunting the creature may have been both an act of revenge and a way to prove himself as a skilled hunter, according to Kelly. However, police were unable to draw any solid conclusions based on her statements. Ultimately, Mark's death was classified as an unexplained, possibly supernatural occurrence. Despite the passage of several years, controversy still surrounds the cause of his death. The most widely accepted theory is that Mark may have died from an overdose of illegal drugs. In an interview, Mark's father, Mike, expressed doubt that his son could have simply gotten lost. Mark had previously worked as a forest guide and was highly familiar with the terrain and wildlife in the park. However, Mike also acknowledged that his son had a history of drug use. At the time of the incident, Mark was under medical care and taking prescribed medication to support his recovery. Police records support this, showing that drugs used to suppress withdrawal symptoms were found in Mark's backpack. Additionally, 2 other hunters later shared a detail that added another layer to the mystery. On the day of the blizzard, 2 hunters, Jacob and Cameron, reported seeing Mark trekking up the mountain. Concerned about the hazardous conditions, they approached him and warned that hunting during a blizzard was extremely dangerous. An argument broke out between them. In the case report, Jacob noted that Mark was acting strangely, highly agitated and unusually excited, as if he had been provoked or disturbed. One theory suggests that Mark may have been abducted by a UFO. This idea draws parallels to a case from the 1970s, in which a man named Carl Higdon claimed he was abducted by aliens at a campsite in Shawnee and transported to a distant forest. Similarly, Mark's body was eventually discovered in Rock Mountain, about 27 kilometers, 17 miles, from where his truck was found. To hike that distance on foot, especially through snow-covered wilderness at an elevation of over 3,000 meters, about 10,000 feet, would take around 6 hours without rest or food, an unlikely feat under such extreme conditions. For this reason, the alien abduction theory has gained traction with some people. A third popular theory is that Mark fell victim to a legendary creature, possibly Bigfoot. The condition of his shotgun suggested he was either hunting something or defending himself at the time. However, the fact that one bullet remained unfired in the chamber raises the possibility that something happened before he could take another shot. Adding to the mystery, Mark's binoculars and shotgun were found far from the location of his backpack. This discrepancy has led some to speculate that he may have been attacked at Changi Campground, and his body later moved to Rock Mountain. No known North American animal has the strength or behavior to transport a human body several kilometers up a mountain to an elevation of 3,000 meters. During the extensive search operation, rescue teams came across something unusual: massive footprints leading deeper into the mountains. These prints were significantly larger than any known animal tracks in the region, sparking immediate curiosity and concern among the searchers. Despite thorough efforts to trace the origin of the footprints, no conclusive evidence linked them directly to Mark's disappearance. Nevertheless, their existence added another layer of mystery to the case and intensified speculation about what might have happened to him. Some believe these footprints could belong to an unknown creature, possibly the very Sasquatch Mark was reportedly hunting, while others considered less conventional explanations. In the aftermath of the case, famed investigator David Paulides, who specializes in mysterious disappearances in wilderness areas, became involved. Paulides, known for his Missing 411 series, which documents baffling and unsolved vanishings in national parks and forests, interviewed Mark's girlfriend, Kelly, as well as others connected to the case. Intrigued by the strange circumstances and unexplained elements surrounding Mark's disappearance, Paulides chose to include this case in his ongoing research. The inclusion helped bring wider attention to the mystery, sparking new interest and debate among enthusiasts of the unexplained. Even now, years after the incident, Mark's disappearance remains enveloped in uncertainty and unanswered questions. It is a haunting enigma, much like the bullet that was never fired from the shotgun found near his last known location. That bullet symbolizes the unresolved nature of the case. Mark never got the chance to pull the trigger or fully conclude his hunt. Meanwhile, Kelly continues to hold on to hope, waiting for some sign or answer that may never come. The hunt that began with high hopes and careful preparation ended abruptly, leaving behind a story of mystery and loss that still resonates deeply with those who knew him.